Talk to me,
Welcome to Purpose Wednesday. I'm Coach Latasha S. Morgan, and I'm here to help you unlock your true potential.
Hello there, and welcome to Purpose Wednesday. I'm Coach Latasha Morgan, certified Christian life coach, certified professional life coach, board certified master Christian mental health coach, and a whole lot of other goodies, y'all. I have had an amazing day, and I pray that you have had an amazing day as well. Also pray that every day to come is even greater and more amazing than the one before it. Tonight, we're going to be talking about faith that walks, not waits, when desire becomes louder than discernment. So, before we dive right in, before we serve up a meal that's meant for deep spiritual digestion, let me ask you a question. This may sting a little bit, but I want you to sit with it, okay? Have you ever known exactly what God said and still hoped He would say something different? I have. Have you ever prayed about a situation repeatedly, not because you actually needed clarity? No. But you were desperately fishing for a different answer. I know I do. I have, brother. If we're being completely honest, actually here, most of us has tried to negotiate with a clear instruction from God at least once in our lives. And that, family, is exactly where the tragic story of a man named Balaam begins. It doesn't start with outward rebellion, witchcraft, or a talking donkey. It begins with a gifted man who received a clear word from God and then spent the rest of his journey looking for a loophole. The enemy rarely destroys believers through sudden dramatic rebellion. He takes it slow. It starts with compromise, justification. So let's go farther in this. Who is Balaam actually here? Because that's something we need to know before we can go any farther. Now, when we look at scripture in the book of Numbers, Balaam is one of the most fascinating and terrifying figures. To the casual observer, he looks like a Sunday school character, but history and biblical records reveal him far more dangerous. Actually, history tells us that in 1967, archaeologists dug up the Deir Alla Inscription, and I hope I said that correctly, in Jordan, an 8th to 9th century BC plaster record with that explicitly names Balaam, son of Beor, as a seer of gods. Oh man, it is so amazing to see something like that, Okay, so this independent historical record proves he wasn't a myth. Like many of us think things in the Bible are. Well, not us, but some people do. He was a prominent Mesopotamian seer of international reputation who toggled between pagan pantheons and the true God. Even his identity carries a warning. His name means devourer or destroyer of people, and many scholars debate the meaning of his name. Now, his father's name, Beor, means to burn. He held direct communication with God. He received divine and genuine revelation, and he prophesied accurately. His life was ended at the age of 33 years old. He was executed by the sword while fighting against the very people he was commissioned to bless by God, but to curse by Balak. Why? Because spiritual gifts do not equal spiritual maturity. You can hear from God and still completely disobey Him. You can preach and still drift. You can prophesy and still compromise. You can be heavily anointed, but entirely unsurrendered to God. Look at how clear God was in Numbers chapter 22, verse 12, right? And God said unto Balaam, thou shalt not go with them. Thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. Now, I don't know, maybe Balaam didn't get it and he didn't understand. He just said no. But when a second, wealthier, more prestigious envoy arrived at Balaam's door, offering an even larger diviner's fee and social prestige, Balaam went back to negotiate with God. Balak said, hey, I'm going to make sure you come and answer me and do what I want you to do. So I'm going to send more. I'm going to send better. And Balaam, it worked because Balaam went back to negotiate with God. This exposes a massive theological danger. The permissive will of God. As believers, we operate in the tension of three different wills, or three levels of will, I'll say. When Balaam kept begging, God finally told him, go. But do not make the mistake of assuming that God's yes is always a sign of his blessing. If you persist in asking God for he's already said no to, he may step aside and say, go ahead and do what you want to do then, okay? That's on you. He lets you go into your own destruction because you refuse the safety of his no. A lot of times when God is telling us no, he is doing it to protect us. And because we don't see that, we want to go our own way and do our own thing because we want things to happen in our own time. And things are they don't happen according to our time because we are not the author of time. We have no control of time. Things happen when God wants them to happen. Because like last week, we talked about the set time. There's a set time that God has for everything. So Balaam was greedy, right? He saw that money. His eyes got big. You know how your mama always used to say you ate too much and got sick because your eyes was bigger than your stomach, right? So Balaam's eyes were too big for him, okay? He was greedy. He saw all of that money. He was like, hey, God, let me negotiate with you so I can get paid. So when we hear the word greed, we think about money. But in Greek, the word pleonexia is an insatiable desire for more. That's greed. In the life of a leader or a believer, pleonexia functions as a literal biological and spiritual blindness. When your eye is entirely fixed on the gold of Balaam, or just money or whatever throws in your direction, your field of vision narrows. You become incapable of seeing the horizon of the Almighty. Greed begins the moment your personal desire starts to actively compete with God's instructions. You can be greedy for attention or validation, influence, status, relationships, or immediate success. And all of us be wanting immediate success, don't we? Compromise never arrives fully grown. It is a slow, generational erosion. Notice the terrifying biblical progression of Balaam's legacy across the text. In Numbers, the historical story, a personal struggle with reward. In Peter, 2 Peter, the way of Balaam, a lifestyle of drifting for profit. In Jude, the era of Balaam, a corrupted mindset. And in the book of Revelation, the doctrine of Balaam, a theology of compromise taught to others. What started as an internal private compromise in Numbers became a full-blown corporate doctrine in Revelation chapter 2, verse 14. And you should read that. It says this in Revelation chapter 2, verse 14, but I have a few things against you. This is where John is talking to the church of Pergamos. He says, but I have a few things against you, because you have there those who hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to put a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols, and to commit sexual immorality. He went from Numbers to the book of Revelations. Now, that is something we don't want to do. We don't want people to be saying, don't do what she did. Okay, let's continue. So when Balaam realized he couldn't curse Israel from the outside because God kept putting blessings in his mouth, he shifted to a backdoor strategy of spiritual sabotage. He taught King Balak how to corrupt Israel from the inside by using Moabite women to seduce them into sexual immorality and idolatry. See, the devil knows your protection is contingent upon your holiness. If he cannot defeat you via sorcery or witchcraft from the outside, he will try to defeat you via sabotage from the inside. This brings us to the famous talking donkey. Y'all know that donkey that was talking to Balaam. The miracle of this story isn't that the animal spoke. The miracle is that the donkey saw. And the donkey saw the angels of the Lord standing in the way and his sword drawn in his hands. That's Numbers 22 and 23. Now think about that. The donkey is a donkey. He call him, he's pretty much dumb, right? And he sees the angel, but the Balaam, who is this major, awesome seer, known internationally, called upon by kings to sabotage, and Balaam said, I know that who you curse will be cursed and who you bless will be blessed. So come on, honey, I honor you, make you honorable, and give you any kind of money, because I don't want these people coming to defeat me. And the only way I'll be able to defeat them is in the spiritual aspect. But the donkey began to see, and Balaam could not. He was even beating the donkey, beating him 3 times, because the donkey wouldn't do what he wanted him to do. The donkey was scared. Balaam should have been. He should have been scared. Balaam should have been, but the donkey was able to see, and that's why he was afraid. He saw the angel who was ready to kill Balaam. And Balaam tells the donkey, listen, he's in a murderous rage. He's mad. He cried and he said, if only I had a sword in my hand, I would kill you right now. He was wishing for a physical weapon to kill his protector, completely oblivious to the fact that a spiritual sword was already drawn to execute him. He couldn't even see. The angel wasn't hidden. Balaam was just distracted by what he wanted, his greed. His discernment had completely been overridden by his desire. That's what greed will do to you. That's what greed is, a distraction. Whatever is your distraction, it will cause you to be blind to things. The interruption of the donkey was mercy, actually. The donkey was not Balaam's obstacle. She was God's mercy. How many times have we been absolutely furious about things God blocked? I know I have been. A relationship that abruptly ended. A business deal that fell through. An opportunity or promotion that passed us by. We call it spiritual warfare. But years later, we discovered that God wasn't punishing us. He was actually blessing and protecting us from a drawn sword that was there to destroy us. So I want you to see this story in our modern time. So here's a fictional story you can listen to. Take Monica, for instance. She thought the new corporate job offer was her ultimate breakthrough. The salary was massive, the title was prestigious, and the status looked incredible on paper. But what she labeled a breakthrough was actually a trap designed to pull her out of assignment, compromise her character, and isolate her from community. We must learn this truth on our purpose journey, y'all. That not every door that opens is from God. Not every opportunity is God's assignment for you. And not every promotion is a part of your purpose. We have to learn that and discern that, okay? The sons of Issachar. They were men who had understanding of the times to know what Israel ought to do. They possessed true discernment because they were not trying to manufacture a season. They were submitted to God's activity within the season. Balaam had information, but he lacked submission. Knowledge without obedience always creates self-deception. Information alone does not transform us. Surrender does. Some of you listening today, you don't need another prophetic word, podcast episode, another book, or another sign. You just need to simply implement the last clear instruction you heard God say. I want you to take a moment today and identify one area of life where you have been actively negotiating with God, whether that's a relationship, a financial decision, or a career move. Write down the last clear instruction He gave you and take exactly one concrete step of obedience to honor that instruction this week. And let's stop waiting for a loophole and start walking in faith, okay? So thank you so much for watching Purpose Wednesday. And I look forward to talking to you again next week. I love you guys. And have a blessed, Jesus-filled day tomorrow and a sweet sleep tonight. Good night.